Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children. Welcome to Sri R.M. Jain Group of School Online Teaching Academy Ekalaiva. Today for 9th standard in civics, we are going to learn a topic from constitutional design. So in the previous session, we were learning about the making of the Indian Constitution, its path, the constitutional design, and much more. So let's get into today's topic. Our constitution will be incomplete without knowing our Ambedkar. So this is our Ambedkar, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, popularly known as Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He was a jurist, social reformer, and a politician. He is also known as the father of Indian Constitution, a well-known political and an eminent jurist. His effort to eradicate social evil like untouchability and caste restrictions were remarkable. Throughout his life, children, he fought for the rights of the Dalit and other socially backward classes. Dr. Ambedkar was honored step by step. At the first step, he was honored as the member of the Constituent Assembly. At the second step, he was honored as the first law minister of independent India. And at the third step, he was honored as the chairman of the drafting committee. Because of his bright characteristics, as his deep and vast study, tremendous knowledge, amazing command of English language, expertness in explaining the subject and the ideal patriotism, he had got all this pleasant honor. And we very well know that Dr. Ambedkar was awarded the Bharat Ratna, the India's highest civilian honor in 1990. Upon India's independence and August 1947, the new Congress-led government invited Ambedkar to serve as the nation's first law minister, which he accepted. On 29th August, he was appointed chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee and was appointed by the Assembly to write India's new constitution. Children, you know, it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to finish drafting the constitution. The Constitution of India begins with the word "we, the people of India." It is a comprehensive document, children, which contain 395 amendments in 22 parts. It also contains 12 schedules. Since its adoption in 1949, so far it has been amended for 103 times, children. In this picture, you can see that Ambedkar, so this is our Ambedkar, chairman of the drafting committee, presenting the final draft of the Indian Constitution to Rajendra Prasad on 25th November 1949. So now let's see about our Constitution. Preamble of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution is an introduction to the Constitution. It reads like a poem on the democracy. It contains the philosophy on which the entire Constitution has been built. It provides a standard to examine and evaluate and law and action of the government to find out whether it is a good or bad. Actually, the constitution, the preamble of the constitution is the soul of the Indian constitution. So let's see more about the preamble of our constitution. So this is our preamble of our constitution. So in the nature of the constitution, first let's see we the people of India. What does it mean? The constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people through their representative and not handed down to them by a king or any outside power. So that is the meaning for we, the people of India. So let's see little more detail. So the meaning of sovereign. The word sovereign means being completely independent and free from external control. India is thus free to frame its own laws and govern its people according to the principle outlined by its constitution. It is also free to have its own foreign policy. So children, as a whole, sovereign means people have supreme right to make a decision on internal as well as external matter. No external power can dictate the government of India. So in this picture, you can see now our India is free from the foreign power. The next one, it's the socialist. The term socialist was added to the preamble by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. A socialist government actually aims to ensure social and economic equality for all its citizens through the equal distribution of country's resources, equal pay for equal work, and by enabling a means of livelihood for all. So as a whole, a government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequality. And the next one, it is the secular. The term secular means giving respect to all religion. This term was added to the preamble by the 42nd Amendment Act in 1976. A secular government treats all religions equally and does not support any particular faith. Children, every citizen of India has the right to freely practice their own religion, children. The state does not interfere in the religious practices of any particular community as long as they do not go against the fundamental principle provided by the constitution. And one more thing we should realize that in India, there is no official religion, children. All the religion are treated equally. And the next one, democratic. You very well know the meaning of democratic. Democratic means based on the principles of democracy. In a democracy, the government is formed by representatives elected by the citizens of the country. Every adult citizen of India has the right to vote. So who is called as an adult citizen? The person who has attained the age of 18 is called as an adult citizen. So once he becomes an adult citizen, he has the right to vote. And the representatives, once elected by the citizen, are responsible and accountable to the people. The government is thus run according to some basic rules, children. And the next one, it's the republic. We very well know that India became a republic on 26th January 1950. In a republic, the head of a state is not a monarch, but someone who is elected by the people. In India, the head of a state is the president, children, who is elected for a term of 5 years by the representatives of the citizen. So in this picture, by seeing this picture, you will get a clear vision that to be a representative, we the people, we vote him and select him, and then only he becomes a head of a state, and is not a hereditary position. So he is not a person from hereditary, he is a person whom we have elected. So that is about the nature of the state. Now let's see about the objectives of the states. So what do you feel when you see this picture, children? It shows the justice. So when we read through the preamble, in the lower part of the text, the objectives of the states are listed, children. In that, you can find out some important thing that has been given to the citizens. So one among them, it is the justice. So what is justice? Justice is nothing but it is actually a citizen is guaranteed a justice. Our constitution, no? It seeks to give every citizen what they are entitled to establish an equitable and just society. Actually, the citizens cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, religion, and gender. Social inequality have to be reduced. So government should work for the welfare of all, especially of the advantaged group. So justice is an equality that is given to all, whichever caste or religion a person may belong to. And the next one, it is the liberty. So liberty means freedom. There are no and a reasonable restriction on the citizen in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. Actually, our constitution protects our freedom to think, express ourselves, to follow any faith, and to practice any form of worship. So all this, it is called as liberty. And by looking at this picture, you can very well know that it tells us something about equality. So what is equality? It is nothing but all are equal before law. So that is equality. All citizens are equal before law and have equal opportunity. Actually, our constitution prohibits discrimination on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth, children. This provides every individual an equal opportunity for development. So the traditional social inequality have to be ended. So that's the reason the government should ensure equal opportunity to all children. So then only we can tell that in India we have equality. The next one, it is the fraternity. So all of us should behave as if we are members of the same family. No one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior. The feeling of fraternity is important for preserving national unity. So what is actually fraternity? It is nothing but it is the feeling of a brotherlyhood. The Indian Constitution seeks to promote a fraternity or the spirit of brotherhood among the citizens of India. Only if we have a brotherlyhood feeling, we can live happily. So that's about the objectives of state. Other than this, our constitution guarantees every citizen of India certain rights that ensure a life of dignity, peace, and harmony. Such rights are known as fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are outlined in Part 3 of the Constitution. They are safeguarded by the judiciary, children. In case if any of our rights are violated, then what we can do? The citizen can move to the court of law for their protection of their rights. So totally in India, our constitution has outlined 7 fundamental rights. So other than fundamental rights, we have one more thing which a citizen should follow. What it is? So it's nothing but our constitution as given as certain duties to be followed. So along with the fundamental rights, our constitution also lays down certain duties that every citizen, every Indian citizen is expected to fulfill. These duties serve to protect the nation and uphold its unity. They were actually added to the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. So children, unlike the fundamental rights, the fundamental duties are not enforceable by the law. However, all citizens should serve to fulfill their duties responsibly. So that's about the objectives and fundamental rights and duties. Let's go to the next topic. That is the institutional design. Actually, children, the famous framers of our constitution, those who drafted our constitution, they have given a word as constitutional amendment. So let's see what it is. So those who drafted the Indian constitution, so they did not see this constitution as a sacred, static and unalterable law. So they made provision in incorporate changes from time to time, and these changes are called as constitutional amendment. Till date, 104 amendments have been made in our constitution. Actually, the amendment procedures are as 3 categories. In the first category, amendment can be done by simple majority of members present and voting before sending it to the president's assent. And in the second category, amendment required a special majority, such an amendment can be passed by each house of parliament, that is the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, by the 2/3 majority of the members of the house present and voting, and then sent to the president for his assent. So this is the second category. And the third category is the amendment is difficult to pass. Beside the special majority mentioned in the second category, the same has to be approved by at least 50% of the state legislatures. So not only the Rajya Sabha members and Lok Sabha members, even the 50%, it has to be approved by the state legislatures also. So we have come to the end of the module. So in today's session, we learned about the preamble of the Constitution, the nature, its objectives, and we have come to the end of this session, and much more to learn in the next topic. And copy down today's assignment, children. Thank you, children. So to receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest update, children. Thank you.